A Wisconsin laboratory has been charged with murder. We'll tell you why almost every woman in America may want to take an interest in this case. Details are upcoming on News Channel 10.
From the Four-State News Authority, Walt Howard, Kerry King, weather with Dave Oliver, and sports with John Holcomb. This is KFDA News Channel 10 Nightcast.
Thank you for joining us this evening for Nightcast. Some Hooker residents are afraid their water will become polluted in the coming years.
They're worried about the latest expansion by Seaboard Farms pork processors. News Channel 10's David Nelson explains.
On this remote stretch of land outside Hooker, Seaboard plans to build another hog processing complex like this one. A lagoon in back stores the manure from inside. Lifelong Hooker resident Tom Arnold sees the lagoon at the new complex as a threat.
The ground that they're constructing this on is of a sand nature and tends to percolate rather rapidly through that type of soil into the water supply.
Even though other Hooker residents share the same worry, the Oklahoma Water Resources Board Tuesday, in effect, gave the okay for the new complex by granting Seaboard permission to use groundwater in the area. Jerry Frizzell of Seaboard says residents have nothing to worry about.
Seaboard has agreed to install bentonite or bentonite-type material in the lagoon liner to help prevent any potential for leakage. So that's something that Seaboard has gone above and beyond what state and federal requirements require.
When they say that they're meeting all these laws and regulations, as far as we know, there's none there, really, that govern a corporate hog farming operation. And so they're really pretty lax, the state is. And
the newest Seaboard facility here in Texas County could be up and running in a few months. As Seaboard builds the complex, it also hopes to build confidence in those who live nearby.
Our lagoons are lined. We'll have 18 inches of liner minimum in that lagoon, and it'll be enhanced with additional materials. So we want to be good stewards in Texas County. And
in Hooker, David Nelson, News Channel 10 Nightcast.
A property rights bill sponsored by Senator Teal Bivens of Amarillo has been approved by the Texas Senate today. The plan would allow landowners to sue to recover property value losses resulting from state or local government action. However, the bill would also require property owners to get permission from the state to sue the state. A bill passed by the Texas House today would require a person who brings charges of domestic violence against a spouse to testify in court. Texas is one of only 5 states that currently has a provision known as spousal immunity, which gives a spouse the right not to testify. Prosecutors and law officers support the bill. They say without the testimony of the spouse who is accusing the defendant, a domestic violence case is almost always impossible to prove. Your gas bill may be going up. The Texas House has passed a bill that would allow municipally owned utilities affiliated with other companies under the same parent corporation to file consolidated tax returns. What that means, says opponents, is that the rates of the biggest gas utilities in the state, including Energas, would be increased. Proponents say any increase would be minimal. Former Governor Ann Richards vetoed a similar measure in 1993. Also today, the State House has approved a bill aimed at cutting down on lawsuits against doctors and other health care providers. The measure would increase the amount of money a plaintiff would have to put up as bond to file a medical malpractice lawsuit. The bill is part of a package of reforms moving through the legislature under the emergency priority of Governor George W. Bush.
In other news, a Randall County woman remains behind bars tonight after being charged with manslaughter. Authorities say 29-year-old Rhonda Gail Beck was arraigned today in connection with the March 29th death of her infant son. Officials say Beck lived at this home on South Hughes Street with 7-week-old Joshua Eric Beck. The younger Beck died as a result of sustaining massive head injuries, according to police reports. Rhonda Beck told officials that she had shaken her son at her home and he later quit breathing. The infant was hospitalized and died 8 days later. Beck's bond is set at $10,000.
The spring freezes we've been experiencing may be playing havoc with your garden, but they also pose a real threat to the area's wheat crop. News Channel 10's Christian Santiago reports on the wheat farmers' frustration.
We'll have some damage, I'm sure, but hopefully it won't be to the point where it'll just really take our wheat crop. I hope it doesn't, and I'm going to be optimistic about it.
That's positive about a wheat crop, which looks healthy, but may be dying inside. The freezing weather over the last few nights may harm the head, which is in its early stages of development inside the plant. This is a critical time because the head holds the seed, and if it freezes, the seed won't mature. That means it can't be harvested and could cause a shortage on the market.
The wheat market's already gone up a little bit the last couple of days. I'm sure the price will go up because we're going to have a shortage of wheat. But we're not going to have a bumper wheat crop here at the very best this year.
And for wheat farmers like Mike Menke, it's just a matter of being at Mother Nature's mercy.
There's not much you can do. You just, the wheat was early this year, and just hopefully the freeze won't do that much damage and the weather will clear up and rain.
This cold weather, combined with a dry winter, is giving farmers twice the trouble. And as farmers sit and wait to see what time will bring, Don Reeves says every cloud is a silver lining.
We need rain, lady. We need a lot of rain. This is really dry here, and we need to get this ground saturated and wet, and we can still make some wheat.
Christian Santiago, News Channel 10, Nightcast.
47th District Attorney Danny Hill was laid to rest today. Mourners praised his skill as a statesman and his advocacy for victims' rights. News Channel 10's Tim Malone attended today's services.
The state flag of Texas rests upon the coffin of Danny Hill, a flag in a state many say Hill lived to serve. Hundreds of mourners stopped this morning to say goodbye to their friend, father, and colleague. Hill's brother Bill thanked those showing their love and support for the family. And pastor of Central Church of Christ, Dick Marcier, pointed to Hill's commitment to the people. Marcier mentioned the former state legislator's desire as a young boy to someday be president of the United States, as well as mentioning Hill's deep desire to make a positive impact on other folks' lives. Reverend Jimmy Evans spoke of Hill's mountains, mountains Evans admitted everyone has. But the underlying feeling at the funeral for the 47th District Attorney is how he wanted the just to survive and the criminal to pay the price. Danny Hill was born in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1947. Today, he rests at Memorial Park Cemetery in Amarillo, Texas. Tim Malone, News Channel 10 Nightcast.
When we return, Dave says it will stay a little nippy tonight.
But tomorrow it will continue to get warmer. Stay with us as News Channel 10 Nightcast continues.
News Channel 10 Chief Meteorologist Doppler Dave Oliver has the seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society.
Well, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow when we push it into the 80s.
Yeah, going to be even warmer tomorrow, but the wind will start to pick up. Looks like Friday is going to be the blustery day today, but today was nice and calm. I noticed my hot air balloon buddy Rusty had his hot air balloon up for a while this evening. Kind of unusual in April. It's usually so windy that he can't do that. But those spring winds will be back, but nice warm weather as we approach Easter weekend. Here's how we're doing tonight. We're looking at the skyline, and you can tell right away that electrical power has not been disrupted to the downtown area. They're lit up pretty good. Of course, skies above nice and clear, and temperatures pretty mild also. We're still hanging in there at 55 degrees. We'll throw those current readings on there. And last couple of nights, we've been pretty nippy by this time, but doesn't look like we'll be quite as cold tonight. Skies clear, winds out of the east at 9. Pressure rising from 30.28, and our relative humidity at 32%. Now, tomorrow we will get exactly 13 hours of daylight. The sun will rise at 7:18 and set at 8:18 in the evening. So the days are getting longer as we get further into the spring season. Of course, we do need to get some April showers if we have any hopes at all of getting any May flowers this year. We've only had 1.25 inches so far this year. That's about 1 2/10 inches behind the normal. Cold again this morning, another freeze. We dropped on down to 25 degrees, not a record low like we had yesterday, but well below the normal of 41. By afternoon, however, we kind of put the cold temperatures behind us and approached 70 degrees. We topped out at 69, so that's close to the normal of 71. It was hot on this date back in 1971 with a record high of 93, and in 1940 down in the deep freeze, record low at 16. Another swarm of tornadoes headed our way. Fortunately, they're going to be on videotape. Sunday night, this is the replay of It's a Twister. That's our special 1-hour tornado program. If you missed us last week, you can catch us second time around Sunday night at 11:05. And this happens to be the anniversary of one of the worst tornadoes in Texas history. On this date back in 1927, the town of Rock Springs, that's back to the west of San Antonio, was hit by a tornado about a mile wide. 72 people were killed. And you talk about destruction. This town was just about cleaned off the face of the earth. There were 247 buildings in the town. 235 of those were completely destroyed. That town was just annihilated. Fortunately, nice and quiet across the News Channel 10 area today, especially down in Memphis. It was sunny, 75 degrees. I talked to Kelly Gardenhire, who happens to be a school teacher down there. She said the teachers were really loving this weather because they could turn the kids loose and let them burn off all the energy outside. So we're happy to accommodate the teachers there. Low temperatures across the area. Cold again. Second morning in a row that the dog's dish was probably frozen over in the backyard with freezing temperatures all the way down to 22 at Boise City. That was a cold spot. Didn't have any teens like yesterday, but some mighty cold temperatures for the middle part of April. Just a few locations stayed above freezing barely down at Clarendon, Memphis, 34. Childress had 36. By afternoon, however, we were ringing in springtime again. Nice warm-up temperatures shot up there. Close to 70 most areas. Not quite that warm for Boise City. They were the cool spot at 63. But Boys Ranch, Tulia had 70, Plainview 71, and some mid-70s in the southeast corner, where Memphis and Childress had 75. And it looks like tomorrow we're going to add on about 10 more degrees. And we'll start to see quite a few 80s showing up for high temperatures. Nationwide, a huge swirl in the clouds. Big old storm right here. That's tracking off to the east, and this is still dumping some snow up here in the northern part of the country. Parts of Minnesota, 3-4 inches of snow today, and we still have some rain going on up and down the eastern seaboard. Now we have another storm moving into the western part of the country. The western mountains, winter storm warnings out for tonight. The Sierra Nevada could pick up about 2 feet of snow by morning, so they're still building on the snowpack. And we have another round of thunderstorms that have fired up again. They kind of died down during the day today, but another round is fired up heading through the New England area, Pennsylvania, New York. Possibility of some wind damage with some of those storms. And then you see the next rain and snow moving into the west. Not much going on here for the central sections. We are in between storms, at least for the next couple days, so we're going to enjoy some sunshine and continue to warm things up. Also looks like our next chance of rain will be delayed a little bit. I was kind of looking for storms as early as Saturday. Doesn't look like that'll take place. The moisture is kind of staying south and east of us, and our upper level storm is slowing down. So I think Saturday we won't see some rain, but by Sunday and Monday, it looks like things could come together for some showers, maybe a few storms. So there's still a possibility of some rain along about Easter Sunday. We'll have to keep you posted on that. Right now, we'll take a look at the current situation across the country. Again, 2 big storms, but high pressure in between, and that's where we are. Chilly temperatures tonight up here under these clouds, where we'll see some 30s and probably 20s by morning. Down south, we're staying warmer. Still have some 50s and 60s, even though it's 10 o'clock at night. For tomorrow, still looks like most of the action will move off to the east. Might have some lingering storms down in Florida. 90s out in parts of Arizona. We won't be quite that warm, but we will develop a trough of low pressure. That means southwest winds linking up with the sunshine. Big warm-up expected tomorrow. Look for a high of about 80 degrees and some 80s again on Friday. But watch out for the wind by Friday afternoon. Here's the forecast for tonight. Not as cold. We will see clear skies, light winds, and a low temperature of about 38. And then tomorrow, temperatures will warm up rapidly once those southwest winds kick in, 10 to 20. There's the high of 80 for Amarillo, and the 5-day forecast looks like we'll be in the 80s again on Friday, but hang on to the hat. Saturday, 74, and there's the chance of precipitation coming in Sunday and Monday. Maybe a few scattered storms in there. Of course, we'll be keeping you updated on that Easter weekend.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot, Dave.
Coming up next on Nightcast, a medical lab is under the gun for alleged negligence.
And some area residents find themselves behind bars. We'll have the details after the break.
A lab has been charged with reckless homicide in Milwaukee for allegedly misreading pap smears. 2 women died after the lab missed what experts call unmistakable signs of cervical cancer. We have 2 reports from Milwaukee. In a moment, we'll hear from Ann Minatine on the reaction. But first, Bernd Peterson has the story.
During a short hearing in open court, Chief Prosecutor Michael McCann reads the charges against Chem Bio Corporation. There are 2 counts in all. 1 count of homicide by reckless conduct and 1 count of second-degree reckless homicide, both in connection with the cervical cancer deaths of 40-year-old Dolores Geary and 29-year-old Karen Smith. At the inquest hearings held last week, the jury endorsed additional charges against the lab technician who allegedly misread the pap smears and the medical director of the lab. But in place of charges, McCann and the parties involved reached what are called deferred prosecution agreements.
Our first concern will be, as it has been Gary and Karen Smith, we do not wish to do anything that will impede any civil lawsuit that may be filed. One can anticipate, after what the coverage I had anticipated, there might be additional cases that come forward. There very well may be.
We can separate emotion from fact. This being a tragedy, this being a very terrible thing that happened, but factually and legally, this is the place to be.
I always believe they should have been prosecuted for it, you know, that I believe.
Extremely disappointed that they're able to walk away and just practice their profession like nothing happened.
The two men who watched their wives die of cervical cancer are now watching in frustration the legal system. We spoke with Pete Smith via satellite from Florida this afternoon. He had talked with DA Michael McCann and says he was told technologist June Fricano and medical director Dr. Robert Lippo were not charged because there are other civil suits pending, and if they were convicted, no money would go to other victims.
What it comes down to, Ann, it comes down to this is all about the almighty buck. And some people win, some people lose.
Keith Gary, while disappointed tonight, is comforted by his own philosophy.
I feel someday they'll have to pay for what they did, and it'll probably be in a lot higher court than could be here on Earth. So I don't feel they're getting away with anything.
Smith says he'll now direct his energies to seeing something will be done.
That's the whole thing about those boards. They take forever. Nothing has been done to this point. It's been almost 2 years since they've known about this. Now I'm going to fight and push to have their licenses revoked.
In other news, another dispute between the city of Amarillo and Potter County has affected the responses of both fire departments. The Amarillo City Fire Department was the first to respond to this fire on Cherry Avenue last month. However, this fire was located outside the city limits, and the city had to call the Potter County Fire Department to take care of it. The reason the city could not act immediately is because the city and county do not have an agreement to respond to each other's fires.
We do not have a contract, and from time to time we are asked to respond to calls outside the city limits, and it really creates two problems for us. Number one, it's we're concerned about the liability of going outside the city into somebody else's jurisdiction without a written agreement to do so. And number two, we feel like that if the taxpayers inside the city are paying to operate the fire department, that they ought to stay within the area.
The city does have agreements with other cities and counties to help when called upon, but has not had one with Potter County for years.
The Hemphill County Juvenile Facility will become the largest boot camp prison in the nation. The facility has only been open a month, but today the Canadian Chamber of Commerce announced a new 100-bed facility will be added to the current 60-bed military unit. The Texas Youth Commission agreed to the deal, which should bring 40 new jobs to the community. A job fair will be held this weekend in Canadian for job seekers. Parole violators from around the state may find a new home in Pampa. A new facility that will house such violators will accept them beginning Monday. Today, area residents toured the facility. News Channel 10's Mary Nelson has the story.
The public literally got a taste of the new intermediate sanction facility in Pampa today. The facility will house up to 420 residents who have violated their parole.
Violations will not be serious enough to warrant revocation back to the penitentiary. The intermediate sanction facility allows us that opportunity to put someone back into a secure facility, take them through some additional programming, whether it be substance abuse or life skills, and then return them back into the community without revoking that parole.
The so-called residents will stay here anywhere from 90 days to a year, and during that time will sleep in a dorm-type room. They can exercise in an enclosed recreation area and take GED classes. Facility officials say this is a unique facility because it is state-owned and operated. Most other similar facilities are privately owned.
This is the first facility that is a partnership between the institutional division and the parole division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. It's our partnership to try and save the state some tax dollars.
It's supposed to save taxpayers money because the ISF facility is located right next to the Jordan Prison Unit in Pampa.
Resources are there to support that unit as far as food service, laundry, other support that we can provide.
And not only will it save Texas taxpayers money, it's supposed to help Pampa residents. The new facility created about 100 new jobs. Those new employees gave interested people tours around the facility today, showing the public such things as the riot gear that could be used and the type of meals the residents would eat here until they're once again beyond the barbed wire that surrounds the new facility in Pampa. In Pampa, Mary Nelson, News Channel 10, Nightcast.
Still ahead, NFL owners say they will let the Rams move to St. Louis.
And the District 1-4A golf tournament wraps up under ideal conditions. John Holcomb will have details next on Nightcast.
Have we got a deal for you?
Oh, yeah, no kidding. It's going to be kind of exciting.
Well, we haven't heard it yet. How do you know it's going to be exciting?
I figured you were talking about... Okay, go ahead.
Well, Carrie and I have decided that if you give us $30 million, we'll let you move to St. Louis.
You like that?
It works for the NFL.
Well, as long as you turn around and give that money to charity, because that's exactly what they did after all of this posturing and everything. So I kind of did know. I didn't have any idea. The main reason NFL Commissioner, or at least one of the main reasons NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue gave for the owner's refusal to allow the Rams to move to St. Louis last month was money. The league felt an obligation to the nation's second largest TV market, Los Angeles, and the Fox network. Today, things apparently changed quite a bit. In a special meeting in Dallas, the owners voted 23-6 with one abstention to let the Rams make their move. And the commissioner said a $30 million relocation fee the Rams will pay will most likely go to NFL charities.
The desire to have peace and not be at war was a big factor. We have labor peace with our players. We hope to run a league where we don't have internal league strife.
Did the money change?
The money changed, but the money didn't matter.
Felt like we've been in the third quarter too long, and now the game is over, and I won't say won, but we've certainly, well, I guess we have won.
Yeah, several media outlets are now reporting that Joe Montana will retire from football next week. The Associated Press reports that the city of San Francisco will hold a downtown ceremony next Tuesday, followed by a formal luncheon with players and executives from the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Montana's only response so far has been, I can't say it ain't or it is. The Texas Rangers are making some solid free agent moves. They added depth and experience today in the form of Mickey Tettleton, and we're going to show you some video of Mickey hitting a home run. He hit a lot of them for Baltimore and Detroit, and hopefully he'll hit some over the short right field porch at the ballpark in Arlington. Anyway, he got a one-year deal worth $550,000. The University of Tulsa will keep at least a connection to Tubby Smith on the bench next season. The Golden Hurricanes hired Kansas assistant Steve Robinson today to take Smith's place as head coach. Smith left for Georgia 2 weeks ago. Robinson says Smith helped him get started in coaching several years ago. This is Robinson's first head coaching job. In the NBA tonight, Chicago was in Detroit, and that was, well, let's just see. That was Michael Jordan hitting a jumper. You missed it. But then later, here's Jordan pulling up and hitting the long three. He had 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists. We checked the scoreboard tonight. That was actually from a game earlier. We went to some old video there. Chicago wins by 11, 124-113. Charlotte beats New Jersey, 105-77. The Bullets have lost 12 straight. 90-82 Atlanta knocks off Washington. And also Golden State hits a record 17 threes tonight, an NBA record 123-109 over the T-Wolves. The Spurs with a tough turnaround tonight in Phoenix. First half highlights, Avery Johnson falling down, kicks it back to David Robinson, who gets the easy two. Charles Barkley then posting up the pretty finger roll move with a left hand. He had 17 in the first half. They're playing in the third quarter right now as we check the scoreboard here. 61 all as they start the third out at the America West Arena. The Lakers lead Sacramento by 3. That's also in the second period. In men's tennis, things aren't getting any better for Pete Sampras. First, Andre Agassi takes away his #1 ranking on Monday. Then today, in the second round of a tournament in Barcelona, Sampras was beaten by unseeded Oliver Gross, 1-6, 6-2, 6-3. Sampras is trying to get used to the slow red clay before the French Open begins next month. The District 1-4A tournament wrapped up today at Comanche Trail Golf Course. This is Canyon's Judd Price, finishing with a flourish, birdieing 16. And then here on 17, his third shot on the par 5 comes in nice and high and takes a couple of unseen bounces, and then we find it as it finds the cup for an eagle. The medalist, though, today was Borger's Josh McKinney, who rims out a birdie, tried 17, but you see the team totals there. Borger wins it with Pampa second, Hereford third, and Randall fourth. McKinney shot 77 today to win by 4 over Phil Everson of Pampa. Les Phillips with a 200 par 70, and Price also had a 200 par 70. They finished third and fourth. Girls team results, Borger wins it with Hereford second, Pampa third, and Randall fourth. Jamie McInturf shot at 81 to win the girls medalist honors. And of course the top 2 teams in both the boys and girls races go on to the regional tournament, and that'll be in a couple of weeks.
I'd love to shoot an 81.
I would too.
Thanks a lot.
We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us. It's going to be
cold for one more night.
Yeah,
a little chilly.
Bit. No freeze tonight,
Good.
but we'll wake up to upper 30s, I think, and then by tomorrow, we shoot into the 80s, and we stay there for a couple days. Not as cold tonight. Clear skies. We'll drop on down to 38. And then tomorrow, looks like we will start to pick up a little bit of a breeze, southwest 10 to 20, but sunny skies, and that wind will push us into the 80s, about 80 even for Amarillo. 5-day forecast, windy day on Friday, but temperatures up around 84. For the weekend, some 70s there on Saturday, chances some showers on Sunday, maybe a thunderstorm or two on Monday, so Easter's still kind of questionable.
All right, thanks a lot, Dave.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here again tomorrow.
Good night.
News Channel 10, the area's #1 rated 10 p.m. newscast.